Ghosts in historic houses are part of the story, part of the memory held within the walls of these spectacular buildings. Those who have gone before may linger quietly, while others make their presence felt more strongly.
When we moved in the letter, it explains this in some detail, and it says, you probably won't see Mrs. Carter, but you might smell a perfume, a sort of florally, incensey kind of perfume. And true enough, one day I woke up in the middle of the night and there was the strongest smell of this floral perfume.
In this special episode, I hear how some of the current owners of these extraordinary homes have encountered unsettled spirits, the echoes of history that refuse to rest.
When I married into the British aristocracy, it was the start of a wonderfully exciting journey. But for an American girl from a small town outside Chicago, that was also a little daunting.
I live with my husband Luke, the Earl of Sandwich, and our family at Mapperton House in Dorset.
Living in a place like this is a joy, but also a challenge. And every day we're aware that we're preserving a very special part of Britain's heritage. Mapperton has opened up an extraordinary new world for me, and I can't wait to share it with you all.
So if you love castles and manors and stately homes as much as I do, please join this American Countess as I journey into the British countryside in search of some of Britain's finest historic houses.
It is true that every historic house has a ghost, right?
Indeed. And this is no different.
Right. So
600 years.
do you have one or how many in this 5-room house?
Julie.
So
We
you
have
have
seven ghosts.
It's a cosy one-bedroom house. There's 7 people here. It's busy.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot of ghosts. So
It is.
have you seen any of these ghosts?
We have, yes.
Oh, you have? I thought you were going to say no.
We actually have. I didn't believe in ghosts when we moved to the Crooked House, but when we got into the house, we were so excited, and we came up to what is now the dining room, and there was nothing in there except for an old garden table, and on it was a letter.
No.
It's not written by the ghosts.
No, it
That's
isn't.
it.
Some
Okay,
people say,
okay.
"Oh, was it written by the ghost?" No, of
No.
course it wasn't. But it says, "Dear Ollie and Alex, welcome to the Crooked House. We've had many happy years here, and hope you will too. Just to let you know, there are a few other residents you'll be sharing your new home with, as we have for the past 18 years." And then it goes on to list all the ghosts.
No.
And so we just moved in and we were so excited. And then we were so terrified because we'd bought a haunted house.
That's right. And it says there, you're right, 2021,
Yeah.
right when you moved in. What?
Yeah. And so it lists out all the different ghosts in this. And yeah, I didn't believe in them before we moved in, but actually, when someone says you've bought a haunted house and your bedroom's haunted, you're a bit cautious.
Yes.
And yeah, no, we've seen them since and experienced them.
And are they friendly, all of them?
Yes, the good news is
Fortunately.
actually they are all very friendly. So I think
Okay.
they're just happy to be here, as we are.
Right.
And we'll probably haunt the house too.
Yes.
We're going to make it 9.
You're going to make it 9, exactly.
But there is meant to be a woman and child in this room. We think probably from the 17th century. It was not a very happy time actually in Lavenham. There was a lot of witch hunting, a lot of superstition. You had plague, you had civil war, you had the collapse of the wool trade. And so things are a bit
Wow.
tougher for the people living in Lavenham at that point. And we think maybe the woman in this room is from that period and you have seen her.
Well, when we were told there was a woman and child in the bedroom, I slept with the lights on for the first 6 months of
I
living
would.
here, just thinking, just in case. And then she didn't seem to turn up. And then it was probably about a year and a half into living here that I just woke up one evening and I got used to the house and didn't feel it was spooky. It feels a very happy house when you're in
Yes.
it. But next to me, I got out of bed. Well, I didn't get out of bed. I woke up and looked next to me, and there was a woman just standing by the bed. And
Wow.
it was the strangest feeling because it wasn't at all scary. And that was the weird thing. It felt like she was a very kind, comforting. I almost felt always like having my grandmother in the room. It felt like this is someone that's really looking after me.
Okay.
And it was almost as if she was kind of putting a hot water bottle in the bed or something. And then she just sort of walked out towards the door, turned around and looked at me. And I thought, maybe I'm confused. Maybe it's Ollie going to the loo or something. I looked, I was like, no, Ollie's next to me. There's a woman over there. And she was definitely there, and she walked out the door, and we haven't seen her since. But it wasn't at all scary, and I haven't been scared since. And that's the strange thing. It wasn't scary, and it just felt like she was sort of welcoming us here. And, hopefully she's happy for us to be here, and we're very happy to be here. So it does... It's a strange feeling. It really is, knowing that you're in a haunted house.
It would be a strange feeling, but I guess it must be quite comforting knowing that she was friendly and probably looking after you.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And then the other more active ghost is Mrs. Carter, who we know quite a lot about because she lived here in the 1960s to the 1980s.
Right.
And she had quite an interesting life. She grew up in Russia. Her father was the Anglican priest to the last Tsar. And so then when the revolution came, Mrs. Carter and her family fled, came to England. She then lived most of her life and retired to Lavenham, and she lived by herself in the Crooked House. Now, when we moved in the letter, it explains this in some detail, and it says, you probably won't see Mrs. Carter, but you might smell a perfume, a sort of florally, incensey kind of perfume. And true enough, one day I woke up in the middle of the night and there was the strongest smell of this floral perfume. And I was like, Alex, what's going on? Is there something you're not telling me? But then I was like, no, it's Mrs. Carter. And then it was gone. I mean, as quickly as it arrived, it was gone. It was extraordinary. And of course, in the middle of the night, you're thinking, oh gosh, is this real? Da da da. But then it happened to you again in broad daylight.
Yes, it was in a sunny afternoon. And since we'd moved to the Crooked House, we've had some bits of media coverage, and Country Life did a feature on us. And at the end of that article going out, we had an email from a man saying, I'm so glad that you live in the Crooked House. My mother used to live in the Crooked House. And it was from Mrs. Carter's son. And
You've got to be kidding me.
Amazing. Yeah, and I said, come and visit us. We'd love to show you around.
Right.
We'd love to meet you and hear more about her life. And he said, I'm in my late 90s. I live down in Devon. I won't be able to make the trip, but do come and visit sometime. And so then I was in a room, in this bedroom, walking around one sunny afternoon, completely normal, and suddenly I could smell this perfume. And I was thinking, is that Mrs. Carter? Well, is she back? And I sort of thought maybe it's a laundry liquid. I went and smelled down in the kitchen. I was really trying to find out what it could be, but it was just hanging in this room, and it was getting stronger. And I said, well, there's no one else here. Ollie was out at the shops. I said, okay, well, no one's going to judge me. I'm going to talk to Mrs. Carter. And I said, oh, hello, Mrs. Carter. Hope you don't mind us being here. And the scent got a bit stronger. And I said, well, we love the Crooked House. We're here for life. We'll always look after it. We'll look after your home. And it got stronger still. And I was getting a little bit scared by this. It wasn't threatening. It was just something's definitely happening.
Right.
And then I said, we're actually in touch with your son, John. He's been in touch, and we're going to go and see him later this summer. And the strongest perfume, it literally enveloped the room. I literally ran out. I was like, oh my God, something is happening in here.
This is extraordinary.
It was like a cloud around me. And I ran out and I texted Ollie, said, you need to come back to the house, Mrs. Carter's here. and Ollie came back because he was just up the road. And we came into this room and the scent had completely gone. But as I say, it's not threatening. It's just
exactly.
definitely
and then
here.
Did you go visit Mrs. Carter's son?
We did, yes. And he was the most wonderful man, him and his wife. And they told us all about his mother's life here. He'd never lived here, but had visited her when she lived here. They showed us lots of their furniture in their house, which had been in the Crooked House. And it was so wonderful to have that connection. He said as we left, he said, I feel like I found 2 new sons and you're part of my family. And we thought, they were such lovely people.
How
amazing. So we actually have a photo of them downstairs.
Did you tell him that story
about... We didn't say his mother was still here, but we did say that she's very well remembered in the village, which she is. And lots of our elderly friends in the village remember Mrs. Carter living here in the 70s. And she was quite eccentric by the sounds of things. She was called Birdie Carter by the locals because she used to look after all the sickly birds. And so if a bird came to garden and had broken its wings or something, she would nurse it back to health. And we found when we moved in that there were a lot of sick birds landing in our garden, and we thought, what's wrong with our garden? Why are all the birds coming to die in our garden? And then we realised they're probably coming to see Mrs. Carter because they'll have passed down that through generations of knowledge and go there of your ill. And so now we nurse all the birds.
And we're the bird hospital.
This is incredible.
And they come, we feed the birds every morning, and whenever an injured bird comes, we look after it and nurse it back to health. Sometimes they're too old and they die, but we bury them in the garden.
Right.
And we've sort of really embraced Mrs. Carter's energy here. But she sounds a wonderful, eccentric, but really wonderful person.
Wonderful person.
She's very welcome here.
Incredible that you met her son. Okay, what ghost are we going on to next?
So the others we haven't experienced, but we know about through letters and other people's sightings. So we think there are 3 Tudor men downstairs. People, when it was a tea room, reported seeing them walking through the walls, which would make sense because they'd be going into the Great Hall next door.
Right,
and so they seem to move between the walls down there. And then we have Dino, which is a cat from the previous owners.
Our own crooked cat here.
Exactly.
We love that, just like in the
ghost
nursery.
crooked cat, and apparently we're yet to feel him, but apparently he sits on the bed sometimes. So
Okay.
We're very
welcome,
happy with
very
that.
welcome.
I love cats.
Yeah.
I have a cat, so I'm happy with that.
So that completes
So
the
we
set,
have
really.
So
Yeah.
that's amazing.
It is quite a busy place.
But like I say, it feels a very happy house.
Yeah,
It
no,
doesn't
it really
feel
does.
a spooky house.
No.
And so I think it is just people who love the house as we do and they don't want to leave, and neither do we. So I think it's a very nice feeling for it. And they're very, very welcome here.
I agree, and you can feel it. Just even walking in here, I can feel something, but it's like good energy, good, strong energy.
Yeah.
You're just going to carry on the tradition, and
I hope
there
so.
you go.
Yes, we're never leaving.
That's right.
So-
Someone's going to write a note to the next owners and be like, there are 9 ghosts
Yes, exactly.
here.
It'll
5
just keep
men in
growing.
Tudor costumes now.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Brilliant.
look forward to it.
All right, Mark. I hear that there are some ghosts at the castle. Is that right?
So apparently, the castle is one of the most haunted buildings in Wales. So we've got 3 major ghost stories.
Okay.
So we've got the White Lady,
Yes.
Winifred, who is seen going from the east lawn to the writing room in the gardens. So you see her figure in white going across the battlements. And then another, there's a...
And people.
recently. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen a few strange things. But,
Right. So she hasn't left. The last lady to live here still lives here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you walk around, you get strange feelings.
Yeah.
But second famous ghost story is the 12th Earl had a horse which he used to at the charge of Ladysmith in the Boer War, and the horse went to South Africa, was brought back, lived here, was buried here.
Okay.
His name was Chuckles, which is a strange name.
Right.
But he's buried in the grounds, but people have seen a black horse going up to the stable block. You can hear the hooves.
Right.
So that's quite strange.
Okay, that's so strange. And then, of course, Winifred was here
Yeah.
when Chuckles was here as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Connecting. So.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the third story, we don't know who this is, but in the 1950s, there was a very famous black boxer who was the first person to get through something called the colour bar, so in terms of boxing.
Yes.
And he trained here, and he had an apartment on one of the top floors, and he would go running in the park each morning, and then he saw a woman in red in a riding habit approach him, and she was crying, and he said to her, "What's up?" And she looked at him and just disappeared. So the Red Lady is someone that's seen out in the parkland.
Right.
Don't know who she is.
But you can't date her back.
No, don't know
to
who she
anything.
is.
So it's just a lot of ghost sightings.
Yes.
But it's not creepy, scary. It's good.
No. People have something that people have smelt actually. 2 things. So violet perfume. So Winifred had her own perfume made. So you get this smell of violets, which is very odd.
Yes.
And then in the stables, you can smell horses, and there's been no horses in there since probably 1950s.
Right.
So
Okay. So they are here.
yeah.
Their energy is here.
Yeah, and this was
Their
a servants' hall.
Spirits are here.
So people have heard voices
Okay.
in this space. So
Okay. So when they come in here, I mean, I hear voices now, but that's from the visitors outside.
I can't hear anything.
So we really are disappearing into the darker bits of the house now, but there is a reason I wanted to bring you down here, which you'll see shortly.
Right. Teddy, where are we going?
You might well ask.
Oh my goodness.
Thank goodness for all the torches on our phones nowadays, because we really are disappearing into quite a deep, dark area.
We are.
The
I
reason
say flashlight, but yes, I know what torch means.
The reason I wanted to bring you down here, Julie, is you were just talking about the number of fireplaces, and this whole end of the house was used for coal storage.
Was it?
And we're now at the extreme north end of the house.
Does it end? Does it ever end?
We've finally got to the end, and here is the chute down which the coal came.
Oh. Wow. Look, you can still see all of the remnants of the coal coming here. I can't believe
So the coal would have just slidden down and been stored up here. Imagine how many people it would have taken to then put all the coal in buckets and carry it up to every bedroom. I don't know how they managed the changeover points, where presumably here you've got feet as black as anything, and you don't want them trampling up staircases and into if the bedrooms had any. I'm not sure bedrooms did have lovely white carpets in those days. They were more maroony, russet, red, darker coloured carpets, weren't they?
But still,
rugs.
Can I just ask, because this is quite spooky down here, ghosts? There must be ghosts at Knowsley.
Ghosts, lots of people talk about ghosts in the house, and actually lots outside the house, around the park, near some of the ponds, in some of the farm buildings. I have to admit, I'm not a ghost receiving person.
Okay.
Now, I'll probably be spooked tonight. I've never seen one, but lots of people have seen them around the house,
all over
and
the
around
house.
the park, in the gardens, in various different places. Kind of more outside the house than in it.
Interesting.
But it's amazing when a house,
But
to
maybe
have the
it's-
families living here for 650 years, you think there should be ghosts here,
But maybe it's because the original house was then leveled.
maybe.
Maybe that's why. Anyway, I'm just obviously,
Whoa,
I believe in
spooky.
ghosts. This is spooky. This is so spooky, but I can't even imagine. Because anyway, the next time I see you, I really need to know that number of fireplaces.
We're going to have a count up.
Okay.
It certainly shows a huge difference from the opulence of those upstairs rooms to come down here, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
With 900 years of history, this house has battles, it has changes of religion, it had murders. When they had the monks here, they had murders, they had fire, they had kidnapping, had all sorts of very aggressive stuff going on. And the house just stores all of that memory.
Yeah, of course.
So
Any
it had to be clean.
ghosts?
Yes, we do.
But
Yeah,
they're all
we
good.
Yeah, they're all. We've got
But
ghosts.
Granny
They're good
always
ghosts.
said she thought there was somebody here that was
Right.
in the house, and
She could feel
And
it.
then we've got a monk.
Wonderful.
That was there, and that was a whole nother story. But
Have you,
what he did
have you
was
felt
clean
it? Have you felt? Have you seen? No.
I'm really looking forward to meeting one.
I don't see
Right.
spirits, and I don't get worried by spirits, so
No.
they don't make me feel bad. But my great-grandfather was sitting in his study, and he was the last person that we know of in the family that actually saw a monk coming down the staircase
Okay.
from the library floor through
Okay.
his study.
He documented that.
Well, he told the whole
It's
family.
really-
he'd
right,
just
right,
seen
yeah,
it.
fantastic.
But
lots
there
of good
were
stories, though.
certainly good
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah, no, we've got a good ghost as well.
And the Combermere photograph of a ghost sitting
Yes.
in the chair.
Yes, that's one of the most famous ghost pictures in the world.
What?
It was taken by Sybil Corbett, who was the sister of, it was the second Viscount, not the first
one,
Viscount.
right.
And he died, and he was being buried in Wrenbury Church, where they were all buried. And his sister, who was called Sybil Corbett, was an amateur photographer. And she came and she left the camera open exposure in the library, went off, and then didn't actually develop it for a few days. And he's sitting in the chair
No.
behind his desk.
At the same time as being buried,
At the same
3
time as
miles
he's
away.
being buried. So he presumably came back just to say goodbye. And it's, if you Google Combermere ghost,
Yes,
that's it.
that's it.
The photograph is used time and time and time again.
But he's very friendly.
Okay, that's great.
Well, he hasn't
What is it?
interfered too much with our lives at the moment.
That's a great ghost story.
Yeah.
Could be one of the best ones I've heard.
Yeah. But it is fascinating, really.
Yeah. Ghosts, ghosts, ghosts. I mean, I could stay here forever and learn more about them. But you've pulled something out interesting about ghosts, haven't you, Julie?
I have, and ghosts have really inspired visitors at Raby Castle for generations to tell stories and even to stage crazy theatricals. So we have one here from one of the visitors' books in 1884, where the visitors have staged their own little theatrical of an awful apparition of the Raby ghost. And it's just a fantastic scene, as you can see.
Yeah. But how did they do that? I mean, you know, because photography was, of course, quite new then. So this was some real craftsmanship to make this look as if, you know, they're seeing a ghost.
It must have been something to do with the exposure, and it'd be really interesting to talk to someone who develops photographs just to see what sort of technique can
Yes.
create that effect, because it's just hilarious.
I mean, it's wonderful. Oh, this is really interesting, though. It says the one who did the ghost here, the ghost photograph, objects of journey to see their graces. Right.
And you get that as a recurring theme, the fondness for the Duke and Duchess,
Right.
a real recurring theme. They often mention their hosts as being the reason that they've come to stay.
Okay, I love that one, the setup.
That's quite bizarre. It's quite a short. There's a few of them staying for a short length of time. Most of them tend to be a lot longer. They'd come and stay for a week, hence having time to do something. But that's been done over only a couple of days.
Yes, that's exactly right. Because look at they're in and out.
Absolutely.
So they must have been thinking hard about what they
Yeah.
were going to leave in the visitors' book.
Or they brought a photographer with them for the week. I mean,
Yes.
it might be that the photographer was a new thing, and they'd had a photographer for the weekend.
But also, just looking at the dates, they're there towards the end of October.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
Shooting season.
There we go.
Oh, I see. No,
Halloween.
Halloween. Sorry.
Halloween. And shooting season.
and shooting. Well, that's probably they were probably here for shooting season, but because it coincides with
yeah.
Halloween,
Yeah.
there's all this thought of the supernatural.
Now, my mind already wandered towards the word ghost, but not just any ghost. It's the Raby ghost.
Yeah.
On the battlements there.
Oh.
Brilliantly illuminated by the moon.
And somebody drew this. The guest drew this.
The guest was drawn this while they were here.
So Everard, a guest,
Yeah.
said that he saw the Raby ghost.
Well, the pressure.
The pressure. Have you seen the Raby ghost?
I have not seen the Raby ghost, very sadly. I was on my own in this building a lot during lockdown, and I hadn't talked to anyone for a very long time. And I did say at one point, if there's anybody here, then now would be a good time to talk to me, because I could do with a conversation.
Nothing.
And I only had silence. But they don't talk to curators because we have too many questions.
Fair enough.
It's fair enough. Oh, these are fantastic. I mean, I could just sit here all day and go through these. What fun. Are there any names that sort of pop out as you've gone through these, sort of, that have popped out?
Well, I think what's more
Aristocratic
interesting,
names?
there are very regular visitors, and people come back year on year. So the family's closest friends and family do keep coming back year on year. We've had politicians, both Gladstone and Disraeli, stayed at different times, ambassadors from different parts of the world, and obviously this Everard who happened to see the ghost. We also, talking of visitors that used to come regularly, one of the family, Lady Vane, who used to come over from Hutton, was inspired by Raby to write her own ghost story based on Raby Castle, which we have a copy of here. And she changes the name from Raby Castle to Bulmer's Castle in this
book.
3 nights at Bulmer Castle. But we have a Bulmer's Tower at Raby. And a lot of the...
You name the towers here. I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
So they're all named.
Oh, yes. Yes, Jones, Bulmer's.
Kitchen is less of a exciting name.
I love the name Mount Rascal. I don't know where that sort of comes from, but it's such a great name for a tower.
It's brilliant. Okay, so one of the towers is Bulmer.
Is Bulmer's Tower. And so this Lady Vane, absolutely, this Lady Vane, who published this short story, and then it was published in National Magazine as well, has written a story that's inspired by her visits to Raby and the ghost stories. And we do have a ghost story, or a story about a housekeeper who very sadly hung herself, and the basis of this story is about a housekeeper that hung herself. So, you know, you wonder how much she was inspired by what she heard sitting around a fire telling spooky stories at Raby Castle.
It looks really spooky. The pictures are spooky. Like, she looks very spooked there, the woman in there. It's a very short story, isn't it?
It's a short story, yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is wonderful. Okay, so there are ghosts here. There we go. I mean, there always are. I think you have to be that type of person that can feel that energy, or I don't know, have that within you, almost like a power within you that you can see.
I think there's places in the castle that are happy, and there are places in the castle that are sad. And I not necessarily sad, but just don't have the same happy energy and warmth.
Yeah.
And so I think probably if there's anybody knocking around in there, they're giving off that energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's how it works.
Exactly.
None of us really know.
No.
And the portrait behind us is, of course, our most famous candidate for being Raby's ghost. And that's Elizabeth, 1st Baroness Barnard. So it may be that picture there is depicting Everard's vision of her. And she was known as the Old Hellcat, and her ghost is said to haunt the battlements in storms, knitting with white-hot needles.
Yeah.
That's her.
That's her.
There we go.
There we go.
She and her husband tried to dismantle the castle because they didn't like their daughter-in-law.
So maybe that's why she's tried to stay on.
Yeah,
protecting it from
me.
Exactly, other in-laws that had come through.
Oh God!
There she's got kind of a smirk on her face. Do you see that? It's a bit cheeky there. Almost,
I don't know where she came from either. I don't know her history. Why she felt so strongly that she was.
She was the daughter of the Earl of Clare, and I think because her potential daughter-in-law didn't have a title. And she'd been made Baroness Barnard. I know. She'd been made the 1st Baroness. The family was so proud that they achieved a title that she expected every generation to marry into the aristocracy, I'm afraid. And so maybe that was where this
I get it now.
position came from.
She's smirking down at me because she knows.
Yes.
I
No,
didn't
think
come
we-
with a title.
Yeah, me too.
Exactly.
You, me both.
Exactly.
You might want to get out of this room.
Exactly. I was about to say she's banishing us with
Yes.
her eyes.
I can feel those knitting needles coming already. Yeah.
Anyway, that is just brilliant. What fantastic stories. And I think my favorite out of all what I see here is this photography, because I just think it's absolutely genius and clever and so creative of them to come up with this idea, and so well thought out how they're all so positioned perfectly.
Even the dogs
Yeah.
being held tight, not to move.
It's brilliant.